There's hundreds of guides out there, maybe even thousands, all telling you the same exact garbage about how to improve. Aim train, don't think about your aim, bait your teammates. Everyone acts like they have the secrets to ranking up, but nobody wants to tell you the actual things that hold players back from climbing. It's a lot easier to make the process seem super complicated when in reality your answer to ranking up is probably sitting right in front of you right now. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to tell you the actual things that you need to start doing to climb. No BS, no gimmicks, just facts. Now, if you're really looking to climb, this video is going to be a great reference for what you need to start doing, but it's not going to teach you the fundamentals. The reality is that if you're new to the game or even decently experienced, the fundamentals are by far the most important thing that you can learn to skyrocket your rank. This includes things like crosshair placement, peeking, proper spacing with teammates, and even how utility can make aiming easier for you. Now, Valorant is an FPS game, and if you struggle with the S part of that, then you're probably not climbing. That's why we've gone ahead and put together an hour-long Aim God Masterclass so that you can brush up on your fundamentals and get climbing in no time. We will teach you everything that you need to know about developing master-level mechanics in Valorant, guaranteed or your money back. That's right, we are so confident that we can help you rank up 500 RR that we literally refund you if you don't. This course is something that I spent a long time creating to build up literally the best guide available to help new players like you improve. So if you want to check it out, be sure to use the link below for a discount, and other than that, let's get into the video. Now, the first thing that we need to talk about that nobody seems to mention is that improving for low elo and improving for high elo players are two completely different processes. When you're in low elo, you don't need to be doing VOD reviews or aim training an hour a day and finding all these lineups or worrying about optimizing your mouse grip. Literally none of this matters to you. And focusing on these things only holds you back from fixing the things that actually do matter. Now, when you're in high elo, the things that it takes for you to get better become more and more complex. In high elo, you are already comfortable playing the game and you've built up habits yourself, some good, some bad. Now, oftentimes, getting past that plateau in high elo is about learning to view the game in different ways that you haven't thought of before. Sometimes it can be about breaking habits that you had that were once good habits for climbing out of low elo. An example of this is that sometimes in low elo, baiting your teammates is just the correct decision. Your teammates in low elo are going to be bad, and you don't really want to have to rely on them to trade you out because oftentimes they just won't. Whereas in high elo, being a baiter can be really detrimental, and sometimes you're going to have to sacrifice your life for your team to win. This is just one small example of how low elo improvement might differ from high elo though. It's important to make this distinction because some of the things that we mentioned in this video might not apply to you, which is totally fine. It is your job to watch videos like this to take the bits out that sound like they might apply to you and use those while maybe putting some of the rest in the back of your brain for now. Now, one of the first things that we are going to talk about that applies to both low and high elo in different ways is finding your main agent. This one is a bit overdone, but it's important that I think that there's distinctions that we have to make regarding selecting the main agent. For new players, you should essentially try most of the agents as you go. Just dabble a little bit and find someone that you really dig. This is an agent that you feel like you can play a lot. Now, once you find that agent, you are only going to play them for a long while. I'm talking you're auto-locking this agent faster than your 0 and 4 Reyna is going to pop a surrender though. The reason you are doing this is because you are going to have a lot to think about while you're learning the game. And by playing the same agent, it allows us to reduce the amount of things that we need to think about. Here's how that happens. If I play Breach on Bind every game, I'm going to find positions that I like to play. I can find the spots that I like to flash and the spots that I like to stun. I can find the corners that are good to aftershock and where I like to position for post plants. The places that you like to flash on Breach are not the same places that you like to flash on Yoru or KO or Phoenix. Use me for example. I don't personally play KO, so for me to find a good flash to throw for a teammate, it takes me longer than when I'm playing Breach. And that hesitation can make the game really difficult to play sometimes and prevents you from focusing on other things. You want the agent that you play to feel like an extension of your thoughts. When I pull out a flash, I want to know exactly where that flash is going before I even press the button. That way I think about other things like the game state, where my enemies might be, or where my teammates might be. I can focus on my gunfights a little bit more and what my next play is going to be after throwing that flash. You want to autopilot as many things as you can when you play games so that you can spend time thinking about the things that the game requires you to think about. Now in low elo, that means playing one agent because you're new. But in high elo, when you're more comfortable, this changes. Not every agent is good on every map. Maybe eventually you start to think instead of Breach on Bind, I might like to play Skye. Skye can utilize the teleports a little bit better, and her dog is very powerful for clearing out all of those close quarters areas. Now, if you're an Ascendant Breach player, you can probably figure out how to play Skye on Bind in a couple dozen games. It's not going to take you forever. But if you're a low elo player, switching between Skye and Breach and Omen and Brimstone and Chamber all the time is going to be really tough on you. You're not going to be able to autopilot any of these agents efficiently, and it will screw you up. But once you get to high elo, you should start developing an agent main on each map. To make it easy for you, here are the agents that I generally run. Now, these ages might change from time to time for me. I don't stick to this 100% because I'm not trying to climb as much anymore as I used to. But even so, when I'm not trying to climb, I really only pick the same 1 to 2 agents per map. I don't just randomly pick Reyna because I feel like it. And you'll still notice that by far the most common agent that I pick is Breach. He's good on a lot of maps. There's some maps I don't like to play him on, so I found a different main for those maps. Now, if you're looking to do this, I want you to open up a notepad on your PC right now and write down all of the maps in the rotation and then your main on that map. If you don't do this right now, I am not convinced that you will ever do it. Do it right now. Now only play that character. Eventually, when you feel comfortable, I even recommend looking up VODs for those characters from pro players on that map and see where they like to play and what flashes they like to use or where they use their utility. I've got news for you, they probably repeat a lot of the same stuff every single game, because Valorant is a really repetitive game. You're meant to practice the same stuff over and over and over and optimize them. Now, the next thing that you need to work on, regardless of low or high elo, comes down to your crosshair placement and your movement. Now, obviously, this looks very different depending on your rank. If you are in low elo, this literally just means aiming at head level where you can be peeked from and to practice strafing and dead zoning between bursts. These are just the fundamentals, and if you don't have this down, literally nothing else matters for you. But if you're trying to build on this and improve in high elo, there are other things to consider. For example, the exact pixel that you're aiming at can make a difference. You don't just want to aim at head level anymore. You want to pre-aim a wide swing or a short swing or sometimes even a jump peek. You might not even want to aim for the head. If your opponent is low health, it could be better to aim for a body shot. The way that you peek angles becomes a lot more important as well. Did you peek the angle like a bot, or did you swing it confidently with enough room so that you can throw off their crosshair? You need to focus on what makes sense for your rank. You can't just have a blanket one-size-fits-all video and expect every single thing to apply to you. All of these videos are just resources to guide you and recommend things that many common players struggle with, but you need to be the one to determine at what level these things actually apply to you. Regardless of what rank you are in though, I guarantee that there are improvements that you can make to your crosshair placement and movement. Now, I told you guys I was going to give you no BS in this guide, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Just like we discussed in the last section, if you really want to improve, you're going to have to genuinely do some thinking. Many players just autopilot when they play the game without ever putting much thought into how they play. The decisions that they make or why they do the things that they do are super important. The reality is that if you watch a top player, there is a reason for every single thing that they do. They're not just rotating around the map randomly or taking fights just because they're there. They are taking them for a reason. And that's kind of the kicker, is that you need to start thinking about everything that you do. What we recommend starting out with is focus on thinking during the downtime in games. For example, after you die, don't just go on TikTok until the round is over. Think about your death. Think about how you died, if there was anything that you could have done better. Here's a huge thing that I like to emphasize too. Try not to think about your aim. Your aim should be one of the last things that you take into account when determining why you lost a fight, because it is something that you don't have full control over. I have full control over if I swing a player or not, or if my crosshair was placed in the correct position. I am the one making those decisions, but whiffing is just something that happens. Obviously, if we could land every single shot every time, we would. So think about, is there any way I could have made that shot easier? Did I need to take that fight? Could I have used some utility to impact the fight? Did I have a teammate nearby that I could have played off of? These are all good questions that you can ask yourself after a death. Other times when you're open to think about things a little more are when you're planting the spike or rotating. During these moments, look up at the map and figure out what your next play is. Where are your teammates? Can you help any of them? Where do you go from here? More importantly though, during the pre-round, don't just jump around with your knife out. Hold tab. Look at the enemy team's economy, what guns they can afford, and what you should expect in this round. Are there any ultimates available? Think about their team comp and if there's any gaps in their comp. Did they not have a sentinel? Maybe you can lurk up more. What about no controller? I bet operators are going to be really strong versus that. Valorant is a tactical shooter, and surprisingly, the tactical part is really important. This is how you get really good at anything. You need to actively put thought into the things that you do. Now, if you're in low elo, once again, it is totally fine to pass this up while you are learning the game. But if you're pushing high elo, this is how you get good at games. Now, kind of in the same vein, here's something that people always recommend, including ourselves, that really is underutilized, but also isn't super important for low elo. VOD review is something that can be super impactful when done well, but if you don't know what you're looking for, it is kind of useless. And if you're in low elo, you are better off playing the actual game rather than trying to watch back a VOD in which you have no idea what's going on. This is why we oftentimes recommend just getting a coach to look at your VOD for you if you really want it. Otherwise, what I also recommend is instead of doing a full VOD review, just record your games and go through key moments. Watch back your kills and your deaths and try to note what you see. Are your kills looking clean or are you just spraying? Are there things that you could have done better? I don't know about you guys, but even in my own best clips, I'll be like, damn, if I had just landed that kill earlier, this would have been such a sick clip. You can be critical of your good stuff, but also if you have a death where you feel like you got destroyed, go back and watch that and observe what happened. Okay, cool, Breach Stun came in and Jet dashed. Maybe next time you want to avoid playing that position against a Breach. You want to remind yourself what is happening in these games, and even if you're not fully sitting down and drawing takeaways, humans are really good at pattern recognition. The more you observe your matches and actually see the game for what is happening, the more you will realize habits that you have. A completely unironic argument that people have tried to make in the past is that, well, I don't need to VOD review, I was in the game, I know what happened. The reality is that you miss a ton of information during the heat of a match. You're going to miss info on the map, you're going to miss potential options for yourself, and surprisingly, you are going to miss information that is literally right in front of you sometimes. It's really hard to analyze a game in real time when you're playing. Don't let it be an ego thing, just record your matches so you can go back to them if you have a question. You don't gotta watch a full match, just watch the moments that stick out to you. And trust me, you will appreciate that you did this when you land a sick clip and it's not just lost in the abyss forever. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, obviously, if you are trying to go pro, full VOD reviews is a step up from this, but this is a no BS guide, and telling every single player they need to VOD review after every play session is just unrealistic for 99% of players. Record your games, watch back your highlights and lowlights, and try to learn what you can. Now, naturally, along with VOD review, another outside source of improvement is always going to be the long debated aim training. It's pretty undisputed at this point that aim training can be helpful if you are using it for the right things, but once again, it depends on if you're low or high elo. In low elo, aim training is going to take time away from actually playing the game. And if you're doing anything more than just doing a simple routine, it is really overkill. You will see guys recommend that they have an hour-long aim training routine, which is just unrealistic for 99% of players. There are some benefits to warming up your aim or an aim routine, but if your time is limited, those benefits quickly are overshadowed by time in lobby learning the maps, the agents, the guns, and just general tactics within the match. For high elo players though, aim routines become a bit more beneficial. This is where small tweaks to your aim can make a big difference. A way you can think about it is that in high elo, these players have mastered around 90% of the game, and they're trying to push for that extra 1% to keep climbing the ranks. At this point, tweaking things like your aiming technique, how you grip your mouse, or even what sensitivity you play on can make a big difference for those players in the long run. Optimizing these things can be the difference between them hitting Radiant or being hard stuck in Mortal 3. Now, obviously, both of these ranks are still very good players, but it's basically to say that even without these techniques, they've still mastered a majority of the game. They have the agents that they're comfortable on, plays that they like to run on each map. They know how to use their utility and how to play off teammates, and how to convert rounds. They know how to rifle and when to buy or save. Their crosshair placement is great and their movement is precise. And when you're in low elo and still learning the game, those are not things that you've mastered, so you need to focus on them. Finally though, the thing that is the biggest truth in this video is that you really got to focus on yourself if you want to get good. Nothing else matters. Your teammates don't matter, your opponents don't matter, your map doesn't matter, the team comp doesn't matter. It is just all about you. It is about how you adapt to these situations. Now, every time that we say this in videos, we get comments like, but my teammates. And unfortunately, the people who say these things will just never be good. The players that are consistently good at every game are the ones who can play a match, make a mistake, and fix it. It doesn't matter how small their mistake is, and it doesn't matter if it maybe wasn't the actual reason that they lost. What matters is that they take accountability for their own rank and look into how to fix it. The reality is that you belong in whatever rank you're stuck in right now. The moment that you accept that, you are started on the right track to climbing. Anyway though, hopefully you learned something from this video, or at least enjoyed the watch. And if you're really looking to rank up this act, then let me tell you how we can help you out today and get you back on track and climbing right away. As we mentioned with our Aim God Masterclass, it is designed to teach you everything that you need to know about how to get expert level mechanics in just a few short weeks. It goes over all of the aiming fundamentals that you need to master to frag out in your matches and carry games. We know that aiming can feel so hard sometimes, but we will help make it stupid simple and get you ranking up in no time or your money back. Don't forget that site subscribers will also get direct access to our coaches in Discord so that you can get personalized feedback just for you. Trust me when I say that nobody understands how to climb out a low elo more than us, so if you're really looking to rank up, be sure to check out SkillCapped using that link below. And other than that, my name is Casey, and I'll catch you in the next one.